For corporates, I think emails still work. I think they still are old-fashioned enough to use emails. For students, emails does not work as much as, so compared to me sending an email to my entire database of students versus me updating stuff on Facebook and making sure 100 students share it. What will work more is the Facebook today, because that's where they're not naturally checking their emails. They are naturally checking their Facebook 10 times a day. So reactions are much quicker. The communication, number of times they can communicate is much longer. For us, social media has worked really well. We've organically grown to about 20,000 plus likes on Facebook. That's worked really well. What has worked really well for us is actually using students as brand ambassadors for our brand, and through them getting access to colleges and then putting up posters or taking up seminars and then actually going down to students and working. So one of the marketing strategies that we have deployed over the last 2 years is being an online brand. I think what we don't do very often, and I think in a traditional market like India, what still works is giving some kind of a physical outlet to your brand. People still want to touch and look and feel your brand. They want to see what's happening. So whether it's putting up a kiosk in a college, whether it's just going and talking about internships in a college in a generic way, it all works. So we tried a couple of things, some worked, some didn't. We tried actually talking to a lot of colleges and saying we'll donate an internship board, a notice board, which will be called the internship board, where we will make sure that we are putting up internships that are on our site, like somebody's taking printouts and putting up there, somebody from your college will appoint. And apart from that, whatever your placement cell raises or whatever any student knows of any internship, through or not through us or through anybody, can come and put it on this board. So the idea was to start a culture, and we thought the colleges would lap it up because we're giving a free internship board. It's good for the students, but bureaucracy works in its own way, and it is not. So we've always tried to give, I think, making some kind of physical presence felt has always worked really well for us. Online has worked really well for us. Then getting innovative with marketing, where we tied up with a bunch of Vada Pav guys and gave them amazing tissue papers to stock for free, because tissue papers is an expense that they, they spend about $100-200 every day. So they're spending about $5,000 a month on buying tissue papers and giving it to students, right? And we said, okay, we'll give you free tissue papers, but with our branding and with funny lines like grab your next meal at office, visit Let's Intern, or why this Velagiri deal, visit Let's Intern. So, so yeah, simple things like this has worked for us. See, we started with a mindset that because we're online, we need to be online, and because if you see my brand anywhere online, you're a click away. I get the customer acquisition really fast. And because that's also, if you read a lot of marketing, especially driven by the Western world, that's how they would suggest you to do. Because if you're an online brand, be online, and do stuff online, spread your web. But I think India is still a market where people like to see and feel things, as I said. So our practical experience has been that whenever we have done something physical, our numbers have jumped far stronger than just a virtual campaign. So today, we're very clear that it has to be a balance of both. We can't say that, okay, we're an online brand and therefore I'll create a whole leg of online communications and branding and stuff like that, and I'll ignore the physical world. Somewhere in our psyche, still seeing a brand in a hoarding or in your college, in a poster or on a TV, these physical world touch points, which are traditionally set in our mind as okay, this brand makes sense because I see it around me, is really important. While digital brands are still in a certain way a little frivolous, I think, in the Indian consumer mindset. So we had very little money. So what we did was we thought there were two, and we still believe there are two assets that we are building. One is the platform, and the other is the brand. So whatever money we had, we invested in these two things in the beginning. So for marketing, what we did was just print collaterals and stuff which could go out to colleges and stuff like that, flyers and posters. I think each brand will have its own set of marketing mix, and if you're a B2B brand, you need to look at your marketing very differently, because I think then it's more about relationships and how you push your product through individual channels before you start putting your brand anywhere. If you're a consumer brand, you need to get your brand out, and then depending on your reality, you should figure out. I mean, you should allocate budgets for that, and you should have a clear roadmap. Make it cost effective, keep it cheaper, and luckily today, like there are lots of free tools available. So you have, which a lot of startups sometimes don't use. So they stop at a Facebook or a Twitter. You can actually go and put your credential presentation on a slide share, and there are at least stumble upon, and there are at least about 20 sharing websites. Create those 20 links back to your websites. There are so many random people who blog. You know, if you look at your friend network, at least half of them would have started a blog at once and not written anything after that. Give them a two-piece thing and ask them to just put it up on their blog. You know, most of your friends would happily do it. So stuff like that. There is a lot of stuff that you can do for free to build your brand. PR is something which I think most startups don't use well. Which is somewhere I think at least we were, because I came from a media background, is easier for us to leverage. It's just pick up magazines and newspapers which cover about, so for us it is about education or whatever your business is. And most articles or magazines have the editor's email ID or the author's or email ID right there in front of you. You just need to one day go to a newspaper stand, pick up 10 newspapers and 15 magazines and just write an email to them. And how we did was we wrote the emails to them. The moment one person covered us, so Indian Digital Review was the first people to cover us, that time it was Alu Techie, and you take that link and then send it back to everyone saying, hey, we wrote to you 2 weeks back and they covered this about us. Luckily for us, within 2 months, Times of India covered us. So that is a big name. So you say, hey, Times of India covered us, do you want to... So when a smaller publication reads the Times of India has covered something, and it's something different, they want to read about it. So PR is something a lot of people can leverage in a great way, which they don't. So, yeah. See, especially for a business like ours, which is about the youth, that's where most of my audience is spending a lot of its time. So to be there was a no-brainer, and to be there very actively was a no-brainer. So what we have used it very simply is to engage with students. Social media, so far we've not leveraged it from a point of view that we want to engage with corporates. Twitter to an extent, yes, because a lot of corporates are active on Twitter through the official handle, so it's easier. But Facebook per se has purely been a student-driven focus where we make sure that we are posting at least 3 internships a day on the platform, so that students can, if they like our page, they can getting instant updates on what is out there in our portal, and that drives traffic back to my portal in terms of they coming and checking and applying to their internship. So Facebook has primarily been used for that.